for all Georgians, we're proud that the Georgian became president of the United States, and I think again in his years after the presidency continued to minister to people around the world in so many ways. So we're grateful, we're proud of his legacy, and very appreciative that he began right here in Middle Georgia and South Georgia. He was a very compassionate person, as you well know, and he and his wife, we talked about mental health, we talked about incarceration and justice at that period of time, and we are making efforts really for her heart on mental health issues even at that point in time. So we had a very cordial relationship. Obviously, having grown up as an agriculturalist, we had a lot in common and talked a lot about those kind of roots in which we grew up in Plains, and him in Plains and me in Bon Air. We had very similar backgrounds in that way. Death is final, and I think most of us felt like he had really fought for so long that there was a certain peace about that at that final moment in that regard. But I think we looked at the pictures of him at his wife's funeral, and that wasn't the President Carter that I knew, and the humanitarian that lived after that. So I think for one relief, it was somewhat a relief and somewhat peace in that way. But I think it's amazing for the life that he lived for 100 years. That's very rare for anyone, but particularly in political life. But I think, again, God blessed him and his family in that way and gave him long life.
What's your fondest memory of him, Governor?
I think, again, the legend that he became after the presidency and continuing to care for people, the habitat efforts, the guinea worm efforts across the world, and caring for people, those that were the least fortunate, I think, again, just was a great example for any public servant. And I think he really, exemplified what a public servant really would be and should be in that regard, and I think he proved that.
How do you hope the former president will be remembered after this day?
Well, I don't. I think he's going to be remembered as he is, as a great person, a very compassionate, loving person that really cared for others and wanted to see everyone's lives improved in that way. He and his wife worked for that in many ways during their lifetime, but particularly after he left the White House, around the world, not just here, but around the world in that way.
Do you have any thoughts about the bipartisan respect and tributes that are pouring out for him? What does it say about him?
I hope that says something about us as far as a country that's willing to recognize a great person, a great leader in that regard, and pay due respect to one, irrespective of what partisan activity or area they were in that regard. I feel that way. Obviously, I have great respect for what he did, not what party he belonged to, but what he created and did for mankind afterwards.